Now we're going to have a look at the Titan exercises using the Titan bag. These are unique movements that you can do with the Titan bag because it's a soft tool and it just gives you a few different options when you're training with your clients. The first exercise we'll have a look at is a two-handed shouldering drill. So what we're going to do is ignore the handles and just grab the meat of the bag. So grab as much kind of material as you can, drop your hips down nice and low and you're looking forward. That's your start position, okay? From here, you're going to stand up powerfully, lift the bag onto one shoulder, then drop it back down, and just as the bag taps the ground, you're going to whip it back up again. Now, things to watch for, make sure you squeeze your elbows in. You don't want to see clients out here because it's going to put more stress on the top of their shoulders. And make sure they're always looking forward because it'll encourage them to get into a really nice deep range of movement in their squat and minimize any stress on their lower back. So for our next exercise, we're going to have a go at a single hand shouldering drill. Now this is where you literally just use one arm, and what you've got to do is wrap that arm right under the bag and you can grab the other end of it. So that's your setup, and then the drill is very similar to our two-handed shouldering drill. You drop the bag right down to the ground, you're looking forward, and then from there you're literally just going to rip it up onto one shoulder and then drop it back down. So obviously here, because we're working through just one side of the body, it's definitely a bit more of a challenge through your trunk, through your core. And obviously we've got to create a little bit more power through that arm, through the bicep and through the lats. So a nice way of getting the whole body working together and just challenging that trunk a little bit more. Our next exercise with the Titan bag is a sack press. So this is where we're going to start to use the grip position on the bag to challenge our grip strength a little bit more. What you can do is actually set the bag up so it just stands up on its own. And essentially what we're going to do is just grab the top of the bag, grab as much material as we can, bring it up onto our chest, and you've got to squeeze the elbows in the whole time. That is the bottom of your range of movement. If you see your clients starting to take their elbows out, they've gone too low with the bag. So elbows are in here, and from neutral posture, they're going to press all the way up, and then bring it all the way down, keeping those elbows nice and tight the whole time. It's a great way of really challenging the triceps and the shoulders, and actually your trunk, because obviously you've got to try and keep that posture neutral the whole time. Very different way of creating a shoulder press movement, and it's a lot harder than it looks because of that grip. Our next exercise is going to be a lateral drag with the Titan bag. For this one, we want to grip the black handles. So you're going to come down into a single hand plank position over the Titan bag. So one hand comes in front of the Titan bag. I'm going to pop myself up so I'm nice and flat, keeping my hips nice and level. Then I'm going to drag the bag out away from my shoulder, swap hands, swap grips, and then come back. Now the whole time I'm doing this, I'm trying to keep my hips nice and level, trying to keep my shoulders nice and steady, and literally avoid my head wobbling at all. So I'm going nice and slow because then I really benefit from the friction on the ground, increasing the resistance of the bag. If I whip it across, then I actually get less of my trunk working. So if we slow it down, that exercise actually becomes a little bit more challenging. Our next exercise is going to be a bag grip bent over row. So what we want to do is ignore all the handles and just grip the bag to create a little bit more of a challenge for our finger strength on our forearms. So grab as much of the bag as you can, get into a bent over row position, and then from here we want to pull the bag up and really squeeze it into the sternum. Now with a decent weight, that's going to become a real big challenge on your grip strength, and obviously it's a nice way of challenging the strength in the extensors of your back, your lats and your biceps.